can't believe I've done this again. This is a hoard. This is rubbish hoard, this is. And for some reason, it always starts off in the kitchen.
What's going on, Sally? Okay. Let me have a look at the kitchen.
Go on then.
Sally!
Yes, I know.
Sally!
I know.
Are you shitting me right now?
No.
Oh, Sally.
"47-year-old Sally Ann lives in an 18-storey council-owned block.
I feel very, very relaxed in this flat. I knew it was mine the minute I walked through the front door. Great views. I just feel comfy in the place.
She's been here for the past 17 years and shares it with her pet cat, Custard, and a few other things.
We're in the hallway at the moment, and as you can see, it's got a bit quite cluttered. Everything in here is, as you can see, shopping. I've got cakes, I've got biscuits. These are for visitors. More cakes. When I have people come round, I always like to give them a biscuit or a cake when we have a cup of coffee, you know, we're having a chat. Air fresheners, I love my air fresheners. I just love the smell of the orange air freshener.
With just Custard the cat sharing Sally's 2-bed flat, there's plenty of storage space.
There's actually 2 bedrooms, which are down there. The reason why I can't get down to the back there to sort out any of my other hoarding is because obviously you can see there's a fridge freezer parked in the way. Got a living room, and to the left, there's the kitchen. Up here, straight ahead, as you can see, is the toilet, and then round the corner here is my bathroom. Because I'm not in the bedroom at the moment, my bed's still in here. I didn't realise I even had this many of these cakes, to be honest. My bed's a bit untidy at the moment, but because I can't get into the kitchen, I've done food in here, like sandwiches, which I'm a big fan of anyway. And they're still sitting here. Beetroot. It was smoky bacon, crisps and beetroot. And then what I did notice, which I forgot to put there, if you look, a loaf of bread. This has actually gone mouldy. I don't understand why that happens, to be honest. So I don't think it's that I can't throw stuff away. It's I can't be bothered to.
Living alone and unable to work, hoarding started taking over her life.
I think it's when I first moved in on my own, you know. I mean, my place used to get untidy anyway, like everybody's does. And then all of a sudden I thought I need to put the bin out, and then I looked and was thinking, oh my gosh, look what's happened. I class myself as a hoarder in the sense of rubbish hoarder. And I did read an article that they reckon that some people who are hoarders in the sense of collective are actually quite very bright and very intelligent people. So I'm not saying that I'm the intelligent person, I'm just saying some form of hoardism is to do with being too highly intellectual, but you know, it hasn't been proven. I grew up in Harborne with an older sister and a younger brother. We were all very creative. My father used to do creative stuff and he was a carpenter and joiner. But I used to spend more time on my own, you know, do my own thing. I was born with Bethesda's disease, which is a problem with your hips where they didn't grow. So from the age of 0 to 5, I was in splints. I used to get picked on quite a lot. So I only had a couple of friends anyway. But that didn't bother me anyway because I was quite a loner.
Poor health continued into adulthood.
Due to health issues, they kind of like medically retired me.
This isn't the first time Sally's hoarding has spiralled out of control.
I was living in pure rubbish, and I mean pure rubbish. You couldn't see my bed. From the floor to almost the ceiling was piles and piles of black bags dissolving with cat food in it. It had rotting food and cat litter, waste and faeces and all sorts, and I was actually living in all that. And on top of that, we also had carpet bugs, so they were crawling all over me in the bed. I couldn't get to the toilet in time, so I had to climb over all the rubbish. I ended up starting urinating in bottles. And then obviously I'd have the cats, sleeping around me as well. And then they would end up messing in certain corners of the bedroom. Once you started going down that road, if you couldn't stop to get it all sorted on your own, you just created a hell, basically, to live in.
Conditions got so bad that Sally had to accept an intervention by the council or face eviction.
I was scared because I knew that I was waiting for that knock on the door or a letter through my door to say people have been complaining.
It took 6 days to clear the flat, and specialist counselling was put in place to support her.
After we did the clean, I had 18-month aftercare, so they came on a regular basis. And then last year, it all finished, and then it just all crept up on me again. Once you're a hoarder, you're always a hoarder. It's like once you're an alcoholic, once you're a drug addict, you can be clean for 5-10 years and then something happens. It's the same with hoardism of any form.
Sally has refilled her flat in less than 2 years. But there are some who have hoarded for a lifetime.
A very warm welcome to my humble abode here at Westcott, to which you are cordially invited to have a look round and ascertain my lifestyle.
69-year-old Richard has been hoarding magazines and newspapers for over 4 decades.
Well, it's literally one of each paper, like the Mirror, the Sun, the Star, the Times, and Financial Times, the whole lot. Well, overall, with stuff that's up in the roof, we go back to 1976. I'm probably the only person in the entire country that's doing this. So it makes me unique. Over time, they do tend to lean. Susceptible to collapse, shall we put it that way. If you can reach the ceiling and wedge it into the ceiling, then you've won. Yeah. Just like that, you see.
Hoarding becomes an issue when it affects daily life. It's believed as many as 1 in 20 of us could harbour a serious hoarding problem.
I think there's a bit of a hoarder in most people in that they keep things.
But some sufferers have taken their behaviour to the extreme. 69-year-old Richard has been hoarding newspapers for most of his life.
This is what counts for a kitchen, which is considerably better than it once was, but obviously nowhere near as it should be. But, I mean, it's the things I do to achieve what I want to achieve.
It's not just newspapers that Richard collects.
Those labels come from different fruits, mainly apples. I've got a thing about packaging and various containers. This is a throughway to the loo and bathroom. You can go in there if you want to, but it's up to you. So this is a master bedroom. There's one bed there and another one underneath that lot. It is possible to get reasonably comfortable in a chair. What I'd like to do is to look at it all collectively and then make an overall decision and then implement it, rather than just throwing things out every day or every week.
Is that the aim, to kind of clear up a bit?
Oh yeah, yeah. Ahead of you is where the sitting room is or was, but the entire content of the hall was moved into that room, so that really is quite densely packed. I used to have to allow 20 minutes to half an hour to get to the front door, but anybody who's visited had gone. So.
Eventually, the hoard outgrew Richard's bungalow, and then his hoarding went public.
When the first lot of retained material found its way creeping outdoors, people had a full view of what was going on, whereas if it had been the walls stayed put, then obviously they wouldn't be aware of it quite so much. So that attracted attention. So I find myself in my own papers that I was trying to keep, as it were. So that got interesting. I've had multiple copies of what I appeared in.
Richard became known as Britain's most extreme hoarder, and successfully defended his right to keep his hoard through the courts.
The human rights situation is such that everyone's entitled to the enjoyment of their possessions, I think is how it's worded. So that helped me win the day. It's a labour of love, really.
Sally from Dudley has been struggling with her rubbish hoarding since adulthood. She escaped eviction 2 years ago, but there's concern that Sally has regressed. Charity worker Lucy has been supporting Sally Ann since the last clean-up. But it's not always an easy job.
It's been a while since I've been. It has got quite bad, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So what's been happening that's caused it to get like this?
It started off with the fridge freezer when I went out and got myself a second-hand freezer, which is in the hallway. They delivered it, and then I found out that my fridge freezer was still working.
The freezer was due to go to Sally's sister, who lives in the same tower block.
She lives downstairs, Sal. She lives a few stairs down.
Yes, I've got to speak to her tonight or tomorrow.
So it just sounds like excuses. This is how it started before, weren't it?
I didn't have, but the excuse is gone. Sorry.
You've got to think, like,
you know me, I jump in.
if the council were to come tomorrow and knock on your door, you could end up losing this property all because of a fridge freezer that doesn't really need to be here, does it?
I mean, I know that, yeah. I mean, it's a pig and eyesore, isn't it?
So we'll put that into place by next Thursday.
Don't forget, I've got to go to my father's, so I'll be back Wednesday.
Well, maybe you have to think that you need to make an exception and be here instead of at Dad's.
I'm sorry, Lucy, but don't go there. I don't mean to be horrible, but don't go there.
No, but you're all right. But you've got to think you're going to lose it.
I'm not being funny, but nobody has an idea why I'd go through with my dad.
I know, but you've got to think about you, Sal, as well.
I'm sorry, but Dad has to come first.
What about you?
But don't pick on me regarding my father, though, Lucy. OK? Please don't.
OK. OK.
Sally's hoarding was triggered when she lost her mother, and caring for her father since has accelerated its growth.
And I haven't been able to grieve yet because I'm looking after my father to make sure that he's all right. It was devastating that what happened over the last 5 years. Things just built up, and, you know, I'm not asking for help, and you know how stubborn I am. I just try and deal with it all on my own till I eventually can't cope anymore, and then I have to scream for help.
But you've got to remember, you know your mental health's dipping.
Yeah.
You know that when your flat gets to this condition that you need to be asking for help. No one else is going to know.
Yeah.
Sally and Richard are not alone. With over 1.2 million problem hoarders in the UK today, one could be your neighbour.
So this was a brand new apartment when I moved in. Brand new carpets, brand new painted walls. It was such a clean, new, tranquil apartment with a nice courtyard outside.
40-year-old Faye moved into her flat just over 7 years ago.
When I moved in, I had every intention of this being the apartment that I was going to keep really, really clean and tidy and you know, joy to live in. But OCD had other plans.
Until recently, hoarding was classified as a category of OCD, but is now becoming recognised as a disorder in its own right.
It's not a way I wanted to live. Nobody wants to live like this.
Like many sufferers, though, Faye has a spectrum of mental issues.
It's a bit of a vicious circle with depression because you'll do whatever it is to just give you that little glimpse of joy. And I'm not somebody that turns to alcohol or drugs or anything else for their high. Mine is buying things. So I would go online and I would buy to get that high. And especially I love a bargain. So I will buy 8 of the same item. I can't resist it. But as soon as they arrived and the excitement of opening the box, then they come into this apartment where I've already got far too much clutter and it would just get added to the pile, and that would make me feel depressed and anxious, and therefore I would want to then have that little high again of buying something. For all intents and purposes, I was practically housebound for 1.5 years. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't care about my personal hygiene, my eating well. That's why I put on 6 stone in weight, and being isolated with all of this junk around you. Anybody's going to be impacted by that.
With her flat overflowing with the bargains, Faye's hoarding is becoming harder to hide behind closed doors.
I've got a pillow which I pop here, and I always make sure the blinds are closed because I don't want my neighbours to know that I'm sleeping on the sofa. My neighbours know I have OCD. I'm certain they don't know the extent of it. I don't think they have any idea that I haven't slept in my bedroom for almost 3 years. I worry that anyone who comes into my apartment is going to judge me, is going to have misconceptions that I'm dirty. OCD and hoarding is very much a secret illness. So this is my boiler, but because I feel too humiliated for a serviceman to see all of this stuff, it's just too much anxiety for me to get him to come and fix it. The anxiety of having somebody in far outweighs the luxury of having hot water. And so for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been having stone cold showers.
Faye's OCD has also affected her personal and professional life throughout adulthood.
When I was in a relationship, my OCD was really bad, but because I had a partner, it would keep me in check. I was married for 12 years, and it's been 10 years since I've been living on my own. I used to be a very sociable person when I was in a relationship. I used to be very much the life and soul of the party, and I loved to be the centre of attention. Now I've become very socially anxious. I have such a lovely home, and to not be able to have people into my home to enjoy it, I've become very, very isolated and very lonely.
69-year-old Richard's life revolves around his obsession with newspapers. He doesn't just collect, though. He delivers, too.
The round, I suppose, has diminished by about 1/3, I suppose, since I first started.
Richard had to pick up the paper round to help fund his hoarding.
Well, I've got a thing about newspapers, and they had a sort of vacancy of a paper boy, so I said, well, I'll deliver some papers, and that will pay my paper bill, as it were. So that's how it started. It was only meant as a temporary measure, but here we are 13 years on. I'm approaching 70 years old, having lived in the village all my life.
Richard is the 3rd generation to live in the family home, which he shared with both parents and grandparents.
Obviously one passes and then another, so here I am on my own for the last 15 years or so. My father used to be quite fastidious in that he would be sweeping the paths and just for the sake of tidiness. One tends to rebel against what the previous generation did.
Richard was the home carer for his mother in the final years of her life.
The hoarding started in earnest about the turn of the millennium. It wasn't a problem at all, it just gradually escalated. But it's only in the last 10, 15 years or so that it's got like it has. That is literally one of each.
The problem with this flat, it's kind of like an obstacle course.
The only way to reduce a hoard is if things are thrown away faster than they're collected. Faye is fighting back in her flat before her home is completely taken over.
This is the section of the room that I've completed. So this, for me, I know a lot of people will look at this room and still see a lot of clutter, but to me, this is a piece of success.
Like many OCD sufferers, Faye has a specific process for doing even routine activities.
Because of my OCD, anything that needs to go into the bin, I have a ritual that it needs to be opened up fully so I can have a look inside. I have to touch the sides, then I have to shake the item 30 times, and then it can go in the bin. So for most people, throwing away a wrapper would take them less than a second. For me, that one wrapper could take me 10 minutes. It's not about money or the importance of a document or receipt. It's about certainty. Certainty that for me, I haven't thrown anything away, because certainty equals control. Control is the way that I manage in this very uncontrollable and spontaneous world. And that can go in there. Done. Okay. Done. The next on my list was obvious items that will create a great impact, which is this big item, this, and a chair that I won in a competition. And if I got rid of those items, oh, and there's a table behind there which I need to take over to give to my dad. And then whoosh, that whole area is going to be clear apart from this box, which is full of food. It was short dated, so it would be like 70, 80, 90% off. The date on this is the 1st of January 2011. The element of it being such a bargain kind of takes over, and I then start to make up a logical story in my head that it makes sense for me to buy it, and I'll somehow squeeze it in.
When discarding even the smallest item is so difficult, there is one room in Faye's flat that poses the biggest challenge.
Nobody's seen that bedroom as it stands. I feel so overwhelmed because I don't know where to start. And people will say to me, well, why don't you just stop? And I know when they say it, they're well-meaning. Oh my goodness. But in my head, I want to say back to them, why didn't I think of that? The OCD at the moment is bigger than me. It's a whole spectrum of feeling angry, frustrated, but mostly regretful and disappointed about everything I've lost in life because of it.
In the Midlands, Sally has raised the alarm and called in some emergency support to help her with her hoard. Extreme cleaners Kaz and T have known Sally since her first intervention 2 years ago.
I'm looking forward to seeing Sally. I haven't seen her in a while, so it'd be nice to see her, catch up with her, have a cup of tea. From what I can tell, everything should be okay. I do ask her every now and then, how's the flat, how's things going? So she always says that there's a bit of shopping in the hallway. Hopefully everything is smelling of roses.
Hello, stranger. Hello. Oh, hello, darling. Oh.
What's going on, Sally? Okay.
It is getting cluttered over there.
Yeah, I know, I've got to sort stuff out.
So what's going on?
Let me have a look at the kitchen.
Go on then.
Sally!
Yes, I know.
Sally!
I know.
Hold on, let me have a look.
Sally!
Yeah.
Are you shitting me right now?
No.
Oh, Sally.
The battle with hoarding can be a lifelong struggle. Like any addiction, a relapse can occur at any time.
It's plates of cat food.
I know what happened was, I bought a bin. Well, I got that all sorted. That bin's there, has been there since just before Christmas.
Is that a brand new bin?
Right, yeah, but it's just I've been dealing with a lot of other stuff and I wanted to sort that out myself.
Rubbish hoarder Sally is having an emergency clean of her flat, less than 2 years after the council last intervened.
Do you know what? I'm upset with you.
Well, I
There's
know.
no excuse, because you're just a phone call away.
I know it's bad in there and I should have asked you, but to be honest, that's the only second time it's ever happened.
As we stepped out the lift, we could smell the
Smell?
flat, Sally.
Do you know that hasn't been like that for a long time?
Yeah, but as soon as it started to go like that, Sal, that's when you should have
But
called
yeah.
us.
Sally's kitchen has got so bad, it's classed as a biohazard, Dealing with it is an emergency.
I've been dealing with a lot of stuff with my dad because Dad's
You
had
never once mentioned the kitchen was like that, Sally. You never
Because the kitchen
once
wasn't that
mentioned
bad
the-
though a couple of weeks back.
No, but you
that's
should've
only
just-
happened in the last X amount of weeks.
If it doesn't look
Put
how
this way,
we
if you can't
left
get to
it,
your- if you can't get to your sink, it's an issue.
no, if it's,
Okay, I can get
if
to
it's
the
not
sink.
how
If
we
you can't get
left
to your
it,
counter, it's an issue.
Yeah, I know that. Oh, I know that. I'm not stupid. I mean, I know that.
but you never said a thing.
No, I didn't say
so
that.
You've kept us in the dark. It
Yeah.
seems as though you've lied to us, Sal, because you've not mentioned it.
Well, no, I've mentioned. Yeah, I wasn't lying, but I
Right.
hadn't mentioned it yet. Yeah.
Let's just go and get our blues. Let's just get our blues and crack on. She didn't want to disappoint us, I suppose, and she didn't want to upset us or feel like she's let us down in any way. And we don't feel let down because she is a compulsive hoarder and it is a mental health condition. What we're upset about is the fact that the help is there for her and she hasn't accepted it.
Oh, do you want any fix for your nose for the smell?
Sally's one of our clients that we've had for such a long time, and she's really tried. But sometimes she needs that little extra help.
I know I make excuses and I shouldn't.
Oh, there's maggots there, Sally.
Yeah.
There's a big group of maggots right there.
Oh, those are little compared to what's been in. There's some carpet bugs in there as well, floating around.
Sally, why can't I lift this up here?
Because obviously gravy. Can't believe I've effed up again. You got everything?
Yep.
Right, thank you. When I look in there, I see relief. You know, that I've got it, well, we've got it rid of. There's a wave of calmness over me now all the rubbish is gone.
The kitchen may be safe again, but Sally will have to pay to have the rest of her flat cleared and made safe before the risk of eviction is removed.
Sally is a very warm, loving, caring person, and this is her only vice, is that she's a compulsive hoarder.
She just needs a good support network, and she's not really getting that from anybody else at the moment, like she was before.
Yeah.
So if the support network's in place and people are checking on her, I think that will give her more of an excuse to try and keep the flat tidy, knowing she's going to have visitors.
Hoarding is an isolating mental illness, with sufferers often living alone. But today, Faye has a rare visitor who will hopefully help her on her road to recovery.
Hello.
Pleased to meet
Lovely
you.
to meet you.
Jo is a declutter consultant with 8 years' experience helping people with their hoards.
I think that the root cause of why I have OCD and hoarding and depression is to do with childhood things.
Yeah.
Like my dad leaving, and I felt very much out of control that I couldn't fix these things.
So it was a coping mechanism
Yeah.
for you with all this chaos going on, you know, in
Yeah.
your family life. So
I very much was trying to find a mechanism to feel in control.
Yeah.
But my mum, ironically, she's an absolute minimalist and she declutters every 3 months. So her home looks like a show home. It's absolutely beautiful.
you may be rebelling slightly. There may be a little bit of you kicking out and saying, right, well, because she's so particular about where everything is, that you're going to sort of, rebel against that and almost do the opposite.
I
So
understand what you're saying. For me, I don't think that's the reason.
Okay.
I very much aspire to be as my mum is.
Ah, okay. So you've done the first stage of it. You've actually become aware of it. You know, like you said, all the theoretical stuff of it. So the next step is to actually physically start doing the practical side of it. How would you feel about us doing a little tour?
I don't particularly feel comfortable with it, but I know that if I need to get the help, then I need to deal with the discomfort. Okay, shall I lead the way?
Yeah.
I've done this section.
Yep, okay. And it's amazing how that little bit of floor space can make you feel amazing. Hold on to that feeling, because that's the start of you continuing the good work you've already done.
Thank you.
Well done.
This box is full of food.
Okay. You could work out potentially how much of that you could get through realistically before it expires.
Oh, it's all expired.
Ah, okay. So this is your bedroom. So where do you sleep?
Since, well, it's been about 3.5 years now, I've been sleeping on the sofa.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So again, that's another incentive, isn't
Yeah.
it? So,
This has become my norm.
yeah, that's right.
And it's only when external sources come in and they're like, they ask the question, where do you sleep? And it's like, on the sofa. And I just think, that's such a sad story. I've had an idea and I wondered what your opinion is. I was actually going to bring everything from the hallway into here, everything that's left in the living room into here, so that the hallway and the living room are 100% done. And everything is in here.
I would strongly advise not to do that.
Okay.
Only because it's almost like picking up things from one room, putting them in another, and then you've made one room very overwhelming to deal with. And in reality, although you think you may well deal with it after, quite often what happens, I've been to places where 10 years later that door's still shut.
Right. I went and got some boxes from the local supermarket. What I'm trying to do, which I've started here, is I've got a big box there, box there. I'm trying to put everything into boxes.
Boxes could probably end up becoming part of the clutter if you're not careful.
Right.
It becomes just a pile of boxes then in a room instead. So it's just delaying the process, I think.
When this was at its worst, it made me feel like I was literally in a tomb. I felt buried in all of this. And it just felt so like it was kind of coming in on me. And just, I would do anything to distract myself.
For Faye to conquer her hoarding, it's essential she avoids delaying the disposal of unwanted items.
Try and do a little bit of decluttering every single day if you can, but just focus on one room at a time. Every time you pick something up, think, do I want this? And if you say yes, just dig a little bit deeper as to why you want it and do you need it. And the other thing is, if you do want to keep it, where am I going to home this? Everything has to have a home. If it has a home, even if things get a little bit untidy, because, you know, we're all like that, then at the end of the day, whenever you have a little tidy up, think, oh, right, yeah, I know that goes there, and you've got somewhere to put it. But if you haven't, it's just going to end up staying on the floor.
It's true. I love
Well
homes.
done. Well done.
Thanks for coming. Take care.
Bye. See you later. I'm really pleased. I feel like we've made a lot of progress today, and she's got a lot of self-awareness. And I think the important thing is she's actually raring to go, and she's already started the process, which is brilliant. And I'm glad I was there. I could give her a few tips and homework to do as well. And I feel like if she does a little bit every day, she's going to progress quite quickly as well and see some good results.
With the accumulation of 40 years of hoarding in Richard's home, there's a whole neighbourhood that would like to help him clear it.
We're shifting papers this morning, have we?
Not in the sense that you mean, no. But,
Like in the skip?
No, to have this banter between us.
Regular banter. Well, I've got to know Richard, I think it's over 7 years. I mean, Richard's been to my house for Christmas dinner. We're trying as a community to try and help him.
The oldest part of Richard's hoard is the thing he's more passionate about than his papers.
With me, it happens to be classic cars, and of course they take up the room that they do. And
I think effectively there's 17 broken cars around this land here. If we could just get one car done up, I'd love to see him driving around in this old vintage Jag, just having a life.
If I was push comes to shove, which would I choose? Obviously, the cars are a greater love than mere newspapers. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to deal with both, but there you go.
After a lifetime of hoarding, it's possible things may never change.
I would not like it to be just people coming in and just ordering up a number of skips and then the whole lot just disappears, because that represents pretty much a life's work just gone to waste. An Englishman's home is his castle. I've built my home, and you can call it what you like, but it's an extension of me. It represents what I am, and don't sort of interfere, sort of thing.
Richard's happy, that's the way he wants to live, and we have to respect that and work with him at the same time.
With the biohazard hoard in the kitchen cleared, Sally is expecting extreme cleaners, Kaz and T, to help clear the rest of the flat.
I'm slowly getting buried alive in here.
With the freezer out of the flat, access to the bedrooms reveals the full extent of Sally's hoard.
This morning, I was suffering with a lot of stress because I know when Kaz and T come today, they're going to look and go, Sally, what have you been doing? And they're going to tell me off because, you know, I've gone back to my old ways. Go away, I've changed my mind. Hello.
2 years ago, the flat took weeks to clear, but Sally is optimistic this is a simpler job.
As you can see, some of this was behind the fridge.
The goal is to create a usable bedroom.
The last clean, I was in the hallway, they would bring bags out, I'd sort it, and they were shoveling all the rubbish away. But because this is a completely different type of clean, I think we'll go through that bedroom pretty quick. It does look worse than it is. So I was going to do the clean myself this year, but when they came and we did the kitchen, I made a decision to have them come and help me. This way, I'm forced to do it, and it means now I can get my bed, after being 2 years in here, into the small bedroom. So that's my goal.
Half of me wants to throttle you.
I know.
And half of me wants to smile.
Yeah, I know.
What are we going to do with you? What are we going to do with you? I want all this gone today. See, I'm not sure, but I can smell... Oh, I can smell urine.
Usually I've got a good memory of things, and I've just for some reason I haven't remembered what it looked like in there, so... No, that's just really throttled me.
What's in here?
That is my computer, my laptop. The cat urinated on the bag, so God knows if the computer still works.
Faye is tackling her rubbish too.
I'll keep the lid just with a slight section ajar, just about that much, so that it minimises the possibility of anything accidentally falling in.
With her OCDs to contend with, even a few items can be a slow process.
The irony is that I can't even think of the last time, probably not even in the last 10 years, where I have actually done the check and suddenly found a receipt or a bit of money. And what have I lost as regards time and mental health and everything else for doing this? And then as soon as that's done, that needs to be closed and go out to the bin. If that stays in the flat for too long, I'll get too anxious about it and I'll empty it and go back through it again.
Throwing out even the smallest amount of rubbish is a challenge.
Oh, I want to go through it. What to do?
Faye's disorder can mean that performing her rituals once isn't always enough.
I've been making such good progress, and I'm disappointed that I checked it. I should have left it. It's just rubbish. You know? Who cares?
After 4 days' hard work and an estimated ton of the hoard removed, Sally's flat is habitable again.
It feels absolutely wonderful. It's really hard to describe, so much so that I was actually crying today when we were, talking about it, because I've been wanting to be in this bedroom since I moved in. I'm glad after 13 years of now wanting to be in here, I'm here.
How Sally can help herself is just set goals every day. You know, small things like making sure that the catalyst is clean, getting rid of her daily rubbish. So that's all I can encourage Sally to do, is to keep a daily routine of small jobs.
Our advice is everything in your home has a home.
Home, yeah.
So if you put it back in its home, it will stay there and you won't lose anything and it will stay tidy.
There is a bit of concern when people talk, are we going to go back to my old habits? I believe once you're a hoarder, you're always a hoarder, but you have to fight.
I think it could happen again if she doesn't have the right support network around her.
No, but I know she enjoys the fact that we're around.
Yeah. And she sees us as mates. We're like family now. We'll come back and check on her regardless.
We're going to have to.
Throwing away unwanted items proved a painful way for 40-year-old Faye to reduce her hoard. Today, she's donating instead.
I've got 3 items I need to take to the charity shop. I tend to keep the numbers of things to take down because too many causes me too much anxiety, especially when I get to the shop. For me, especially books, this is not fun, so I have to check every single page before this can go into the bag. The goal I have is to give away 10 items a day, and I figure that equals 300 items in a month.
The first stage is complete. The items are out of the flat. But will she be able to let them go? After decades of filling his bungalow, Richard's home has become a time bomb, dangerous for his health.
Had I appreciated earlier on what I was letting myself in for, I would have approached it much differently than I in fact did. So unfortunately, we're a bit late to actually implement what I've learned. But I get through it, get by, so I'm reasonably happy.
Hoarding is a problem that just grows if the sufferer doesn't take action. And the result is inevitable. Space will eventually run out.
There's the trouble, it's sort of piles of stuff here, there and everywhere waiting to be processed. The trouble is that you've got to carry on with ordinary life in between times, it's very difficult. Day to day is just going through the normal domestic routine of keeping body and soul together, as it were, and also trying to prevent the inevitable bit by bit accumulation of things.
Richard's home is now so full, even the basics are becoming impossible.
You have to hold it out like that, because if you don't, the chocolate melts and you get it all over your fingers. Or if you get chocolate fingerprints all over the papers, and that will never do. I'm getting slimmer and slimmer. I don't allow myself to get to the point where I'm literally starving. I have sandwiches and donuts and things of that nature, and then that's supplemented with the fish and chips and sort of dinner for ones in the oven there. So yes, I mean, I get by.
Thank you.
For Faye, she's working hard to shift the balance of her hoarding habits.
I've got a few items for you.
Thank you very much.
I've got OCD, so I'm just going to give them to you one by one, if that's all right. So that goes on there. So that's some leggings. Okay. So there. So would you mind just checking them? Thank you. 3 more things out of my flat. So, slowly but surely. Thank you so much. Thank you for understanding. I know it's a bit weird. It's something wrong with my brain, so thank you. I just feel that if you came back to me in 3 months, I'm going to have that flat clear. I feel something has triggered. Take good care. Thank you. Bye. Yeah. Good place to be.